Welcome to Love to See It, a podcast about subjectively beautiful people dating each other at a resort.
Very much subjectively, definitely not objectively. We are talking today about, frankly, a resort that bears almost no resemblance to the beaches of paradise we once knew and loved. There's a lot to process.
Joining us to talk about the premiere of BIP's reboot season is the Tony Award-winning creator and star of Suffs, Shaina Taub. You can find info about the upcoming national tour of Suffs at suffsmusical.com, which is very exciting.
Shaina, welcome to the pod.
Hi, guys. I am so excited to be here. This is my favorite pod, so I'm geeking out. Yeah.
We're geeking out. Thank you so much for being here. We're really excited. And what an episode. This is like the dawn of a new era. We'll see how long that era will be, but it's certainly new.
It's here and it's new, and we're going to discuss it. Bachelor in Paradise is back. It's been 2 full years since season 9. And it's clear that like in those 2 years, production had a lot of turnover. Everyone was thinking a lot about what they wanted this show to be. And some choices were made, mostly to turn Bachelor in Paradise into a Netflix show.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is, yes. They are definitely inspired by the Lachey franchise over there.
There was Too Hot to Handle in there. I mean, I think they were literally working from the exact same free music like library as Netflix.
Yes, that's always such an interesting thing. Like as a songwriter, you hear those kind of songs, and it's such a skill to write those kind of songs that are specifically for the giant bank that these shows use. You hear like all the lyrics are incrably generic, and
I'm coming in hot.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hot.
Almost
Never
too
felt
literal.
like
Can't believe we're breaking up after dating for only 3 days on an island, and you're like, wow, they really nailed it.
Shaina, if you ever need a career pivot, I think we know.
Yeah, those songwriters get it.
Yeah. Clearly I can't do it, so they need your talents. I feel like I'm partly to blame because we've said, oh, these Netflix shows, these other shows have so much they have a fresher feel with the music. The Bachelor music is so dated. I didn't mean like the exact same songs. And literally they used the same song for the credits that was famously the Too Hot to Handle credits song.
Oh, no.
That's the
one that's like,
thing.
Turn it up.
That killed me. I was like, guys, we're talking about vibes. We want you to modernize. We didn't mean copy the exact soundtracks of Too Hot to Handle and Perfect Match. But whatever, they're definitely trying something.
Yeah. I mean, it all kind of goes back to Love Island, right? Like Netflix has its own like kind of sanded the edges off and put their own sort of generic stamp on the Love Island sort of aesthetic. There's also a little F-Boy Island in there, I feel they're trying to do. And those credits, the credits with the big sans serif letters that are sort of stationary in the landscape as the camera pans, those are everywhere. I feel like that was also in like the Anyone But You, like credits. That's like a very current sort of credit aesthetic to the point that it looks very generic to me as well.
I haven't dipped into Love Island, F-Boy Island yet, so you guys can tell me if this is from that. But I feel like all their little intro packages have become way more scripted than they used to be.
Yes.
Like they all have these pithy little, like Jess is like, I hope you packed your life jacket because I'm about to rock your boat. Like these things that they were clearly... I don't think, is that from that world?
100%. Okay. I was like, I have seen these credits packages before. It's not even always necessarily Love Island specifically, but like The Circle, you see these kind of credits packages. Lots of these dating
Bravo shows also.
Yeah, but I do feel like they're very like Too Hot to Handle in The Circle coded to have these little intros where they're like blowing kisses and like vamping and being cute and campy. And
you're right.
I definitely clocked that right away as something they were taking because the original BIP intros were much sillier.
Totally.
And
BIP was historically goofy. And I think that a lot of the complaints I had about the last couple seasons was that they were leaning too far into manufactured trauma. Like they were making everyone very miserable, and that was being contrasted with these like very goofy moments, and that felt off. This is like off in a different way, which is that most of these people are not equipped to deliver little skits.
Totally.
They don't have the skills.
Yeah.
On F-Boy Island, I will say it works first because you have a showrunner in Elan Gale who is genuinely funny. You also have a comedian hosting that show, Nikki Glazer. And a good number of the people that they end up casting on that show are aspiring stand-up comedians. And I think
really?
all of, yeah, like we've had quite a few. And I think that all of that together creates like a space where you can actually tap certain people to do these like goofy little bits and it will land.
Yeah, I think the casting
These
pool
people
is different.
can't.
These people are cast to be like hot normies, authentically looking for love, right? You cast too hot to handle. You're casting like influencers who do a lot of TikToks. You have them do a little skit with a canned line and they can really sell it. Different skill set.
Totally. This is very forced for a lot of them.
I was just
Yeah.
like, oh no, don't make Dale do a sketch. He can't do it.
Oh, that like captain porn fantasy on
Yeah.
the catamaran with Kat. We'll get
Why
to.
does he
but
need
I
so
was
much
like,
sunscreen on his dick?
Oh God. Yeah.
Well,
I had to.
we'll get there.
I've been putting on sunscreen wrong this whole time.
I know.
You're
It's
like,
really
I traditionally thought it was for the parts of the body that were,
were more
exposed
exposed.
to the sun, but no.
no. This is an important sun safety PSA. People don't realize.
Yeah,
That's the area
mostly
that
it's
we
supposed
need
to go on the dick. Most of all, no matter what you're wearing.
Women don't even need sunscreen, actually.
Totally.
I know. My day just starts with pulling down 3 pairs of shorts and spraying liberally.
Now
That's
we all
being a
know.
boy mom. That's being a boy mom. So overall, like, as you said, Emma, we've had this like sort of messy, weepy, sandy summer camp of love vibe in the past. We were hoping a little less weepy. And instead they're really keyed in on this Love Island style tonal blend that I really have picked up on from Love Island. And I was surprised to see it here. So
Yep.
exactly, which is like horror movie ominousness mixed with glossy, sexy romance.
There are so many horror movie sequences in this one episode.
The whole intro is like, welcome to a
Yeah.
horror movie.
This like post-apocalyptic bit, like in
Yeah, that's not really the tone I was looking for. I don't want to be reminded of the apocalypse while I'm watching this show. That's what the rest of my life is for.
exactly.
I think that's kind of the new thing. It reminds me also of how every movie now is like this sort of blended slurry of adventure, comedy, and romance. It's like, oh, there's a new rom-com from Julia Roberts, but it's also an action movie and
Right.
maybe a horror movie, and it's funny. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of movie this is, but it's maybe too many types for me. I don't want this like slurry of genre, but that's what every piece of content geared toward women is now, I guess.
Totally. Just algorithmically checking every single box.
Yeah, God forbid there be some like hyper specific genre that someone might not see this being served to them. We have to include them all.
And I think that's why we were all getting like a Netflix vibe from
Yeah.
this aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like even like I expected there to be the Love Island influence. I was like, that is sort of the show that has like is like on the rise as like the primary like cultural discussion point for reality romance. But this show felt way more like a Netflix show to me than even a Love Island.
Yeah, Love Island feels more like the original mover for this like aesthetic. This show feels more like one of the Netflix versions than Love Island itself, for sure. And like with that, we're at a different resort that's much more like upscale. And I felt conflicted about this. How did you guys feel? Like, I'm glad they have air conditioning, but there are like 0 crustaceans.
I feel like they're all going to be so much more well rested and well hydrated and well bathed, and that's not going to be helpful for the drama that they want to create later in the season. Like they need to be sleep deprived, bug infested. So it's better for them.
There
but-
are iguanas
There are-
and a lot of bugs,
there are a
like
lot of
flying bugs. fewer
a
like
thing that,
raccoons and like crabs. We are missing those.
I miss the crabs.
I miss the crabs too, but there are certainly creatures around, and like the part of me that wishes for like basic labor rights for these people is very happy that they get to have at least a tiny bit of semi-privacy and, you know, a bed that it doesn't feel like maybe will just like collapse and they will like fall out of the top bunk at any moment.
I do wonder if that's part of the calculus here, is that like by making them so hot and sweaty and exhausted all the time, we've overshot with the pain. And we need to just like dial it back a little bit, let them have AC, let them have a proper bed, and maybe there will be just the perfect amount of pain for drama, but still in a fun way. Maybe maybe that's the move.
It also felt maybe a little White Lotus coded, like when they all enter and there's the staff waiting with their drinks. I was like, oh, this is giving White Lotus and those other like White Lotus knockoff type shows. They're like, here we are in a
such
rich
a
resort.
good point, which also I think flows well into that like horror movie. Like, is it going to turn
There's
at
a body,
any moment? And is there going to be a body in that pool?
Because even more so than like a Love Island or a Netflix show, normally you don't see the staff.
Yeah.
There must be people there working, but everything is just there. The presence of these like smiling, silent workers does add to the sense of like their lives being lived here under the surface, that like what is being repressed, right?
Yeah.
Like these people are just here to serve, but they're real people. Like, what are they thinking? I don't know. It created that extra aura for sure. And then it does also give the impression that there's like too much work at this new resort for like Wells to do by himself.
He simply cannot.
Wells is the bartender, I guess, but mostly he just is here to watch everyone and give commentary and in his interviews.
And to situate us in the current political moment. My favorite moment of this episode was Wells being like, America needs this.
America needs this because of tariffs. America needs BIP.
Yeah.
He was like, let me think of the least hot button political issues I could mention.
Yeah,
nothing
like,
too
everyone
intense.
can agree that tariffs are bad across the political spectrum.
Inflation, bad. Tariffs, bad. Who would disagree?
Totally.
And what we can all come together around is watching hot people making out on the beach.
I mean, honestly, correct.
Yeah.
I do need this.
Yeah, I that resonated with me.
I felt like the new arrival gimmicks were also very Netflix, very
They were too
Love
hot to
Island.
handle.
They were
too hot to handle.
They were so too hot
because
to handle.
on Too Hot to Handle, they often have the bombshells arriving like by boat right up to the beach of the villa that they're all living in. And they'll do that like slow motion shot and then they'll like zoom out with the drone footage or whatever over the water. And that is literally exactly what they did with these arrivals.
No more just like walking down the sandy steps and everyone's like, whose pair of feet and sandals is that? It's like we hear a motorcycle revving in the distance, and just as Wells rips the blank silhouette off of the picture of Sam M rides up on a vintage motorcycle. And I was like, wow, they storyboarded this to death.
Totally.
And the aerial footage, we get like the whole trail of sand being left in like the vintage Harley's wake or whatever.
Yeah, you do have to respect the effort, you know?
They are putting effort in. And I don't, it's like I have complaints about this, but I also don't want to completely shit on it because I feel like we have been begging them to like take some swings for years. And there is like a whole new staff on this season, a new showrunner who comes from Bravo. Like, so I don't know. They're clearly in a transition moment.
I'm open to what they're trying to do. I feel like I've always been the one out here being like, I like that BIP is different. I like that it's not like the other modern dating shows. It's messier, it's grittier, like it's more low key. It's like summer camp. They just hang out on the beach. Every other new show now is like luxury resort Hunger Games. And that's great. But like BIP is different. It has its own niche. And now it feels like it's one of those shows. I do feel sad that we don't have anything filling that niche anymore. However, anything new is always interesting. Maybe it will evolve in an unexpected direction. So I'm like giving it the season.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. There are things I like very much miss. And I do wonder, watching it, I was like, have they strayed a little too far from the visual language that like ties the franchise together? Because I think you want to strike a balance with something like this where they're taking swings and they're doing new stuff, but they're not like, you want it to be recognizably Bachelor, and you almost wouldn't know that it had anything to do with The Bachelor.
Yeah.
I was watching with two friends who are not Bachelor fans, and when they were doing the flashbacks to like these people's seasons, they were literally like, how long ago was that? That looks like 15 years
6
ago.
months ago.
Yeah. Completely different aesthetic. Yeah.
Right.
I wonder, I mean, are they going to, they took a pause on Bachelorette. They almost didn't renew Bachelor. Are they taking a little pause to also retool the look of the main show? Because it's been,
like
they
have
established
to.
all that visual language like
2002.
20 years ago.
Like more than
Frozen in amber.
more than 20 years ago. Yeah.
I like it. It's like a living time capsule. What do you mean we have to update it?
Totally. One new narrative device I appreciated, but you guys tell me if maybe I've missed this in other seasons. When it's like day 1, day 2. I feel like they didn't.
Oh, I liked that.
Yeah, because they didn't used to demarcate the days. So like a day felt like a month to us out here. But I actually appreciated how ridiculous it is of how much goes on in one day for it to remind us like, oh, this is only day 1. This is only day 2.
Yeah. It's funny because I also felt like it added to the horror movie vibe where it's like, dun, dun, day 2 and things have already devolved. The situation is growing dire. But I do like having those markers of time. And the other thing that I kind of like, although the execution so far is not great, is that they're going to have more organized activities, clearly.
Yes.
Oh
I
my
like
God.
that.
I think we did need that. And it does seem like, we'll talk about this later, but from the preview, that there are going to be some like big structural changes to like what the stakes of the show are. And like, I do think that they needed to try some things. We'll see how much of it works, but
it just feels like such a classic rebranding pitfall that like you want to modernize, and in so doing you sort of flatten it out and you give it a Helvetica font, and now you look exactly like every other brand, right? You've turned it into, it looks like the store brand generic because you took away all the rough, weird textural parts that made it different. And that is a risk of doing an update like this, but maybe by the end of the season we'll
appreciate it.
We'll appreciate it. Maybe we'll be like, oh, it was just a weird transition, and now we love that it's a little more updated and fresh. I don't know.
Also, I will say that I wonder if they are going to be taking some cues from Bachelor Pad, which had some of the markers of these more modern dating shows. It had really like absurd challenges. Some of them were physical. Some of them were like just visually weird. They forced interactions between the various cast members. There was also on Bachelor Pad a cash prize at the end. So it was this like mix between like challenges, love, and money. And so I do wonder if they are trying to like revive pieces of that original show as well.
Yeah, I think one of the clear problems that Bachelor in Paradise started to have is that you could find a couple and then just like take naps and hide, you know?
Totally.
So like
you could thwart it. Yeah.
Right. You could thwart it by just like taking naps with your couple all the time. And what a lot of shows do to break that up is make everyone participate in challenges, and even participate in challenges that get them to like see each other in new romantic ways. And I think that could be really healthy to create more like movement in the show overall, make it a little less sleepy. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm skeptical. We'll see.
You can kind of
Jury's
feel all
out.
the meetings they had. Sometimes that you're watching a show, I'm like, I can feel the writer's room talking about this. You know, it feels very effortful. I can just imagine the studio heads in the suits bringing down different mandates of like, this needs to be more like this. And then the producers fighting back. Like you just, you feel all the behind the scenes.
You feel the negotiations.
Yeah. I was definitely earlier going to say, like, there were so many whiteboard meetings involved in this, right?
Yes.
They're brainstorming. They're like lists, like, what can we do here? Yeah, 100%.
And they're like, we got it.
Yeah.
Post-apocalypse, starring Jesse Palmer, our most skilled actor on this franchise.
Oh boy, I can't wait to dive in now that we've given our overall thoughts. By the way, guys, the Goldens aren't even here yet. I truly forgot until Wells mentioned halfway through the episode that they were coming.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, right.
You're like, oh my God. And I think that will also change up the tone.
Right.
Completely.
Speaking of throwing a bunch of new effortful changes at the wall.
Yeah.
So
scared.
On that note, let's take a quick break. And when we get back, we will dive in beginning to end this 3-hour episode of Bachelor in Paradise.
And we are back. And it's time. It's time to go back to the beginning. Or is it the end?
We open with the camera sort of zooming erratically through a devastated resort covered in overturned pool furniture, lizards, and garbage. And Jesse is asleep on a cabana, sunburned, and is awoken by his ringtone, which is Almost Paradise, just like a little nod to the original. And
an Easter egg.
Yeah, for the real fans.
And on the other end of a line is a totally real executive or director saying that they forgot to shoot the show open. And so even though they wrapped production, Jesse has to get back to the front of the resort and film the intro.
Already we know it's ripe with mismanagement here at Bachelor in Paradise. They can't even stick to a shooting schedule.
Also, did you guys watch Lost?
Yes.
Because wasn't it this giving you like the zoom out of like Jack's eye shot in Lost a little bit?
Totally, yes. Ooh. That's a millennial throwback.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like, we have to go back.
I also rewatched a bunch of the Love Island intros, or watched because I never watched the old seasons, to try to understand how insane the scripted lip sync dancing intro to this season was. And back when Sarah Hyland was the host, they did a skit that was very like this. It wasn't reversed, but it was like she was like waiting on the island for like months in the sun for the show to start and the resort to open. And she's like sunburned and covered in sand. And then it's time for the show to start. And she like does the little, she's like, finally. And I was like, this is kind of like that in reverse. So I definitely felt like they were watching some of
yeah,
these
they were getting ideas.
Yeah. So yeah, a bunch of footage from the season plays in reverse. Horses ride backwards along the beach, which is something I always find really funny. So I enjoyed that. And Jesse's sunburn is gone. In the opener, they forgot to film. Something's not adding up. Feels like they actually filmed that at the beginning.
Well, he only put the sunscreen on his dick, so he this is what happens.
Yeah, it's
he
a
learned from the
cautionary
Dale
tale.
School of sun safety.
Yeah. Dick only leaves your face pretty unprotected.
Dick only sunscreen. That's I'm glad that's our main takeaway from the premiere of the newly rebooted Bachelor in Paradise.
That's the title of your episode. There you go.
Oh God, there it is.
Probably
family friendly.
Exactly.
So it's time for our arrivals, and first up is Spencer from Jen's season, the pet portrait entrepreneur, and he, like Amaya, is not everyone's cup of tea. Specifically, he believes he's matcha.
Okay,
some people hate it. Some people don't.
I was like, what is going on with the tea metaphors among Gen Z? Is this like...
I think that... I don't know if this is true or not, but I had this feeling, especially with Spencer for some reason, where I was like, this person spends a lot of time on TikTok and everything they say is like a meme or some sort of concept they've heard floating around TikTok. Like he talks about how hot girls have IBS at one point, and I was like, Spencer, get off TikTok.
Totally.
Talk about something else.
You're in real life.
So true. Oh my God. Yeah, I noticed like some of the language, like watching this back to back with a bunch of Love Island is like truly like mashing my brain together, because all I could hear was like matcha and a lot of conversations about auras.
Yeah. Everyone's doing auras and astrology.
Doing auras. Yeah. I didn't realize. What's my aura? I have to figure it out.
Yeah. I also enjoyed that Spencer said he's dated all kinds of women: redheads, blondes, brunettes.
The three kinds.
The three
Those are
kinds
the
of
major
women.
groups. Those
Yeah.
are
Yeah. Yeah, you know, write entire plays about women. I think that was really the message of Stuff. So it was like the brunettes, the redheads, the blondes. Sometimes they work together, sometimes they don't.
I mean, it took me a decade to get there, where Spencer arrived at that immediately. So clearly he's got an immediate intellectual rigor that
I
is,
respect
I
that.
envy.
Yeah.
Yes.
You finally
Yeah.
learned that redheads also deserve the vote, but
Totally.
Spencer-
That didn't come till the 40s. So Stuff didn't cover that. That'll be a sequel. Yeah.
he also thinks croquet is bocce. So, you know, he's reserving his intellect for knowing that the different kinds of women deserve rights.
Totally. A true feminist. Yeah.
Alex is the first woman to arrive from Grant's season, and her little intro package was one of the most like scripted skit style. And
Yes.
she's like, my type, hot, funny, obsessed with me, but definitely not a spotlight stealer because that's my role. And I was like, this isn't Alex's personality at all. Like they're giving her a sort of like hot girl snob vibe in this skit. And I'm like, she's like goofy and friendly.
Yeah, she's awkward. She's the socially awkward one. And we love that for her.
Yes.
And us.
They chat a little bit. Spencer finds out she's 28 and said she needs to drop the skincare routine.
This is when I shut my laptop in anger and had to walk away. I was like,
Spencer,
this was upsetting.
What do you think a 28-year-old woman looks like if she's not doing retinol twice a day? She's
upset.
28.
She's just like haggard, like
Totally.
She's like, teehee, I just use the same soap that I use for my butt. And
Totally.
like, yeah, you're baby. You have baby
like you're
skin.
28.
This kept me up at night. Like, this is the moment I'll remember in 40 years.
Watching all of these shows is like really making me like want to immediately reach out to a cosmetic dermatologist and be like, what do I need?
No,
it all.
Think of it this way. Once again, Spencer doesn't know what to say, and he reaches for a phrase that he has heard on TikTok.
Exactly.
True. Drop the skin. He's like, get ready with me.
Drop the skincare queen.
Yeah.
Lexi arrives next. Like a character in a rom-com, she is exhausted with matching other people in her matchmaking business, and she is ready to find her own love story. Spencer is Lexi's physical type, but we very quickly get a clownish montage of him talking endlessly while Lexi and Alex make pained faces and finally describe him as a yapper in front of him, but not to him. And I think that's the end of Lexi's interest in Spencer.
I feel like Lexi is really looking around being like, the pickings are slim for men I would actually date here.
Truly.
Yeah. Jeremy and Jonathan arrive next together in like a Jeep. And Jeremy has also dated every type of girl, but it
found
turns
some
out
extra. Some more types than Spencer, a more advanced feminist over here.
Yeah,
he's
like, it's not just white women with different hair colors. There's also black and white. There's short and tall, Christian, Mormon, Jewish, like so many types of women out there.
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's a real inclusive dater. Love it.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say, Jeremy was on our show and he was like, no, I don't want to go to Paradise.
They always say that when they come on our
it.
show and then they go on Paradise.
Like 1 month later.
It's okay,
Paradise.
guys.
It's a part of the hero's journey. This is like
it's
the refusal of the call. Like in order to be up true, it's Joseph Campbell. It's like he's a New Yorker, so he's got
You're
that.
so right.
That is so true. Jonathan is one of the few who is actually very good at the short form video.
He is.
Because he is like a TikTok creator professionally. And so I enjoyed his little package. He's like, I'm your favorite medium king, not to flex, but also very much to flex. And I was like, yes, you should flex. You're really good at this.
Also, this is like an actual joke that he has made before.
Right.
So it felt correct to me. I'm like, yeah, this is a running joke from Jonathan that he is a medium king.
Yes.
And Jen said it, right? Didn't Jen say it like during the season?
Yes. And it became part of his brand.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's part of his comedic persona, whereas some of the other ones
are just like, where did this come from?
Right. The writer's room.
Exactly.
Immediately, he asked the women if shaving his legs is an ick, and they're kind of like, yes.
Like, no.
No, it's fine.
No,
But,
like,
like,
yes.
Like, maybe.
later he says
No.
he shaves them every 3 weeks. And I was like,
That's
that
fine.
doesn't seem like enough. Like, either, you're just going to have a lot of stubble weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, that
in
In or
there.
seems like
out.
the least ideal cadence. Like,
Right.
Yeah, that's
Just
gotta
don't-
grow back quickly.
Yeah. Now we have just someone who shaves her legs frequently in the chat being like, you're going to get a lot of stubble, man. It's going to be prickly. It's prickly down there. Bailey arrives, and she also has a bit more of a comedic persona. She's like, the
she
bob
is
is
an
retired.
influencer.
The bob is
Yeah.
retired. The braids are hired, and the camera roll is about to be full because she is looking to do couple goals content.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy is surprised by Bailey and how beautiful she is. He didn't know she would be here. And he says, her body is tea, and I'm going to be the honey.
He says the body is tea because
body
he
is
is
tea.
also very much on TikTok.
Oh my God. The tea motif is strong.
Tea is huge on TikTok,
Tea
apparently.
is huge. Tea is everywhere. This is a
Wow.
like tea forward generation.
Is this part
Big
of like
moment
the
for tea.
sober? It's like the sober, curious generation meets the celebrity gossip, industrial complex generation.
Totally. Yeah.
Hakeem arrives. He's ready not to be friend zoned, and he will have to continue to be ready
He
for
will
that.
be. Yeah. Aw.
Yeah. He's
I
full
think
of these,
Hakeem
like,
should just permanently move to like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yeah. I love that for him. He should, I think he would thrive. Jess arrives next. This is the Southern gal, Miss Smoochy Poo from Joey's season. And she says, sure, my relationship with Joey sank. But you know what they say? When one ship goes down, another one is ready to board.
And then the producers, like,
Right.
they don't say that.
Huh?
This felt like someone who's not as capable of doing the bits, forced to do the
No,
bits,
she's
not
not-
set
she's
up
like-
to succeed.
She's unintentionally funny. That's like Jess's thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Kyle from Katie's season is next. And he was like a night 1 or 2 guy.
Night one.
I was like, I don't remember
I've never
him.
seen this man in my life.
And he says
Yeah.
the women won't know who he is, but that's intentional because he likes to keep a low profile, which is why he keeps going on reality TV.
Yeah, exactly.
For the privacy.
He's like, I intended to go on reality TV and then keep a low profile by getting sent home night 1 and then going back on reality TV and also getting sent home night 1. That keeps my profile where I like it, nice and low.
After
He's a
seeing
minimalist.
more than like 2 minutes of Kyle, I was like, oh, I understand what happened to Kyle. Because he's like very handsome, but the man is like Rizless.
I have thoughts on Kyle that we will certainly
I'm
get
like,
into.
I am not. I just after about like 30 seconds, I was like, oh, I'm not surprised. Katie sent him home night 1. I get it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Zoe is next, and she comes in with kind of a big like chip on her shoulder kind of intro package that I was surprised by because I thought we had all come around on Zoe. So
She's here to tell you that we have not, Claire.
she's like, I was the underdog. I was misunderstood. If you thought I was just background noise on Grant season, plot twist. If you think you have me all figured out, think again. She is one of the worst at doing this kind of
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so bad. It's bad.
Their comfort zone.
And
And
sorry, go on.
on this one, did she say, I made it to the top 3 without a one-on-one? Do you know how hard that is? I was just like, wow. I don't know, like the sport, like I won at this sport and I don't get enough credit. Like,
Yeah.
Honestly, that's like the most authentic thing to her because she is like
Yeah.
a major competitive athlete.
There's something
well, she
about
wants athletic kids, which we'll get to.
Oh, several of them.
Several of
This is-
them
This is a
do.
real priority. I was like, as a deeply unathletic short person, I should really just say, as a Jewish person, that was never
Wow.
in the sample set for me.
Totally.
you've just got to marry like a really, really tall guy. And that would have, taken care of it. Your kids would be in the major leagues. Ricky the poet is next, who is also a night 1 guy, I think. And then Brian from Jen's season, who was the guy who like stole the car from Jeremy and just like sucks. And I just like hate having him on my screen.
I was just like, really? This is the best we have to offer? These ladies? This guy?
He's like
Yeah.
one of the major options.
I know. I was upset.
No.
He's like, I'm 6'3", shredded. I was just talking to my mom and she told me I'm the whole package. My name is Brian and you're not going to forget that. And he walks past the camera he's talking into, and then another camera pans over to the cameraman.
To the cameraman, yes.
Who gives us a Jim Halpert look. And I was like, I feel like this isn't a real cameraman. I feel like they fully scripted this and staged it, and that's an actor.
Yeah. They got a SAG day rate. That's like a...
to give that quizzical look to the camera.
I do appreciate them creating more union jobs.
Definitely.
That's
real
so
advocates
true.
of labor. This franchise.
Yeah.
But I appreciated that. That's like a little cheeky tonal thing I would like to see more of. Like the pan to the cameraman. I was into that. I was like, all right, they're aware that this guy is ridiculous.
I do like the little winks sometimes. It's like, we also know this is really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Kat is back for her redemption arc. Post breakup with John Henry, post therapy after fan backlash. And she is ready to meet a bunch of guys who think she is their ideal physical type and has a bad personality. They're like, oh, she's so unpleasant, but can I resist her beauty?
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, Kat, incredible television. Like
Wonderful.
She pops immediately on camera.
Definitely. Also speaking in TikTok phrases of like, he's a whole man. Like, you know.
I know. I'm just waiting for one of them to go on a rant about how they like have been in their masculine for too long and now they're ready to fully embody their feminine.
We got pretty close to that at one point.
We did get close.
I mean, I think part of what's frustrating sometimes about watching TV now is that we used to get the memes from reality TV people, and now increasingly it feels like they're just recycling the same little memes that we use all the time. And that's just because they're people and it makes sense. But I'm like, can they say more original phrases sometimes so that we have some new memes? Please help.
Our meme machine is broken.
Our meme machine just keeps going around and around and around.
Oh God, feedback loop.
So some early connections form as these people arrive. Spencer was at the tippy top of Jess's list because he has everything she looks for. He's tall, muscular, handsome, has great hair, and she's ready to fight for his attention with a bunch of other women, but she doesn't realize she has hit on like the absolute perfect person to pursue because he is handsome, tall, and built, but he has a personality that most women do not find romantically appealing. Like, it's a little too goobery.
Yeah.
So true.
So in fact, he's going to be fighting for her.
He can make you a mouse pad with a photo of your old golden retriever though. So like,
yeah,
I mean, that's not nothing.
Some men can hang a door. Some men can make you a mouse pad with a picture of your pet.
Exactly.
Both equally useful. Jess and Spencer also bond over both having been cheated on in horrible and traumatizing ways.
I had forgotten that Spencer was engaged and had that like very traumatic cheating. I was like, oh, right. Yes, this is a thing we did know, but it had not stuck for me.
Yeah. That becomes a defining moment in your life when you have to call off your wedding like a week beforehand because you found out via iPad stalking that your
it's awful.
fiance is cheating on you. Yeah, so that's tough. It's also tough to bond really quickly over that because then I think it creates a sense in both people that they both understand what it's like to be betrayed, and so they will never hurt each other, but they're on a dating show where they're supposed to meet other people. So as soon as Jess meets someone else, it's like you see Spencer's like
panic.
He's like, she wouldn't do that to me, but would she? Oh God. Like, I thought that she wouldn't do this to me, but maybe she will. And it's like, you've known her for 12 hours. So yeah.
So yeah, she probably would, and probably maybe should do it to you. She's loud.
Brian immediately keys in on Zoe because he wants athletic kids, and so he looks for tall women. I was like, this is like livestock breeding language. I know,
this. Very eugenics.
I hate it. I
here for it at all.
It.
He's like, let me examine her limbs and see if she is like fit to breed me an athletic child. But then she says she also looks for tall men so she can have athletic kids, and I was like, all right.
I guess
enjoy each other.
Guess you're made for each other.
Ricky is into Alex, and he's her type. So that looks good for them. He tells her that he's intentional, and she loves that.
I had to laugh in like one of his in the moments. He was like, "I'm so intentionally intentional. I'm coming here with intention. So the thing about me is intentionality, and I want to find someone else that intention." And then Alex is like, I like a guy who's what's the word? He's like intentional. Like it's like that just felt like that was like funny dramatic writing on the part of the producers to like find that setup and payoff.
It makes it seem almost like he's inceptioning her with that because she's about to name something, and he's like, "Is it the exact thing that I am?"
Yes,
she's like, "Yes, actually."
A word that has been rendered meaningless by its repetition. Like, over again.
They all talk a lot about, like, he talks maybe the most about being intentional, but it comes up a lot. And I think that what they mean by it is just like really focusing on the person that they think is the hottest.
They're like, I'm really intentional about pursuing hot.
Hot.
Yeah.
Hot.
Exactly. That's
hot bod. That's my intention.
He also loves to take care of people, and she loves to be pampered. So that seems like a good fit. Kyle and Bailey chat a little bit. He knows how to hang doors, and Bailey doesn't. So again, compatibility. You don't want two people in the home who can hang a door, because why would you need that?
That's excessive. Yeah. No.
You got to share that with the rest of the world. And he is immediately obsessed. He's like, I hope that she like sees a future and she can rock with your boy. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, Kyle.
Oh.
Everything he says, he just says in a way where I'm not sure what he's saying. Like the tone is just a little off.
Yeah.
It's off, and it makes your like skin crawl a little bit. But you're like, this man seems harmless, but something's like not clicking.
Yeah.
Totally.
Jonathan asks Kat what the nerdiest fun thing about her is, and she is completely baffled by this question.
Have you seen me?
I'm not.
Do I give nerd? No.
Do I need to spend time with a nerdy obsession? I don't.
Yeah.
Well, then he's like, well, to be clear, what do you nerd out about? And she says her cat. And I was like, I don't really think that that's nerding out.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
That's just loving your pet. Like that's normal. Nerding out about cats would be like knowing everything knowing many things about cats.
Totally.
No, she doesn't. She's like, nerd is not in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
I don't
Can you imagine
do
she's
that.
just like,
I am not that.
I actually love the Industrial Revolution, and I really like to read academic papers at 10. Like, she just like this whole other side of her opened up.
Oh, I would have loved that.
You can tell Jonathan was sort of hoping for that. And he's like, no, you love your cat. That's cool too. That's so similar to having a nerdy obsession. Jesse Palmer greets this like original crew. And like most of the men this season, he's in sort of a light vacation knit button down. Like the light cottony short sleeve button down is the current fashion. And Kat says he does not age, as if it's been a really long time since she's seen him, but it is not. Like, how much more haggard do you expect people to get in 2 years?
Between like 44 and 46. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
He introduces Wells, the bartender, and Hannah Brown, who is like a love concierge.
I thought we were like going to get Wells and Hannah doing like bits, and Hannah like being behind the bar, having fun. And instead, they just go to her for like love expertise and also to like fix their dates if they don't occur. Like what?
Right.
She is doing
going
the least.
on?
She's like, I will come to Costa Rica if my responsibilities are minimal.
Yeah, I mean, I do respect her getting her paycheck. Like,
Absolutely.
No, you're right. They should have. This is the last time they are in camera frame together, I think, when he introduces both of them in their little khaki shorts and white shirts. They should be doing bits behind the bar. This is ridiculous.
Definitely.
They should be sharing thoughts in their confessionals about the love connections that are developing.
yeah, I want them to do their confessionals together so they can like banter.
Yeah.
She didn't even have one, I don't think. Did she? Like, she wasn't.
I don't
seated.
think so. I think she just got those like little moments with Justin where she's like, yeah, your date didn't happen. Oh, you want you want to plan something special?
Giving absolutely nothing. Like, what was the point? And then Justin Glaze rolls up for his third round at BIP.
I love me some Justin.
He can do the bits. Him being like, this was in my Emmy reel. I was like, you have the skills.
No, that's the thing. He's like, he pops on camera. He can do narration. He's like jokey. Justin is giving.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
He says, I'm back not just to find love, but to prove that I can keep it. And I'm like, yes, prove a point to America. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
Lexi heard that he's really funny, and that's the main thing that she's into, which is interesting because the main thing that most of the guys have said about her is that they're worried she's incapable of being funny or around humor. They're like, she's so serious.
She's very earnest. But maybe that's why she's like, I need a really funny partner, because they're going to be doing like all the work for both of us in that department.
And she's like, he sounds really funny. That's great. Unfortunately, I heard he dated Susie, who is such a sweet person that I adore and I've never met. And it's really hard for me to think about dating someone that this wonderful person I've never met dated.
She mentions, though, did you guys clock? She was like, I've never met Susie, but we talked on the phone once.
They talked
what
on the
happened
phone.
in that phone call? Why were they on the phone? This is the horror. I'm like, what did they discuss? Why did they? I must know.
My assumption is that it was probably just Susie reaching out after Lexi got like cut from the show, after she like talked about her endometriosis or something. That's my assumption.
There can be sometimes like there's Bachelor Nation networking. It might also have been like professional, like, you know, now that I'm coming off the show, like, and getting into my post-show career,
sense.
do you have any tips?
Do you have advice?
There's stuff like that. So I wasn't that surprised that they talked on the phone, but I was surprised that she was acting like it would be a huge betrayal of Susie when they really don't know each other in any meaningful way. And I think this is one of the challenges of being in a public relationship with someone that people have a very tight parasocial bond with, is that it does feel like a betrayal of Susie to date Justin, even for me. And I've never even like met Susie. So like, how could I hurt her in that way?
Totally.
That's every woman in America.
I got the sense that Lexi was like, what will it mean for me to be like in the middle of this couple that is like talked about constantly among the public? Like, was she just concerned about like getting into that mess?
Or do you think can tell that the producers are going to bring Susie there?
I mean, yes, I think that's probably part of it, that she's like, what's going on? This is such like a clear storyline. Also, the public like loves Susie and Justin and constantly want them to get back together. Like, it is just sort of a messy situation to be in the middle of.
But the way that she keeps framing this is he healed yet? Like, has he healed yet from Susie? And is he really just like healed and ready to find love again? Or is he not healed? And I was
Has he done enough therapy?
Lexi says healed so many times in this relationship. And I do think that it's kind of an umbrella term for also everything you guys just laid out. Justin gets the first date card from Jesse, a dinner and a night swim. Justin hasn't been on a first date in over a year. Can you imagine, due to being in a relationship, not being on a first date in over a year?
Yeah, I was like, you later say that you dated Susie for a year.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that makes sense. I guess the last first date was with Susie. And he's ready to stop wasting time and move on to commitment. He seems like very much like, all right, I've hit 30. I didn't envision myself being in my mid to late 30s and single. So I've really got to like stop. He's like,
I have maximum 5 years.
Next relationship has to be my last relationship. Like, this is it. And he's like, well, Lexi also really seems motivated. She's ready to buckle down and get serious. He tells her he's not on a biological clock per se, but he has a clock. And I was like, you know what? I respect that. I'm so sick of men going on these shows and telling women who do have biological clocks and have schedules in their mind being like, I don't know, I'm 42, but maybe one day I'll have kids.
Yeah, that's true.
So true.
Women
Get
think about
clock,
it. You should think about it.
Totally.
And meanwhile, Spencer and Jess are really getting close, and they end up sharing the first kiss of paradise. On that note, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, the rest of this premiere of Paradise.
And we are back, and it's time for Justin and Lexi's date to get rained and lightninged out, because we just we see a bolt of lightning, we hear a clap of thunder. Suddenly, a producer is telling everyone to go to their rooms, and Justin is knocking on Lexi's door to be like, we will not be going on our date.
This was like a blink and you could miss it transition. I was baffled. It's like everyone's enjoying paradise. Suddenly they're all wet. And a producer is like, you must go to your rooms right now. I was like, what is going on? It's just rain.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not ideal for a night swim for it to be thunderstorming, which is fair.
No.
I guess they have to go to their rooms because they don't want them to be like hanging out where they aren't set up to film for the first night. But it made it seem like they were going to die if they were in an indoor common area. They were like, take shelter in your rooms.
I'm surprised they kept that of like the go to your rooms. It just felt very behind the scenes in a way. I'm like, I don't want to think about them being told what to do in that way.
Right. I was surprised there wasn't a transition that was more like showing them starting to be like, oh my God, it's starting to pour, and then like running inside, and not the producer telling them to go to their room.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're like, we're showing you everything. This is real.
Warts and all. Yeah.
So Justin tells her the date was rained out, but he's going to plan something special for her real soon. And he tells the camera, I'm starting to think I'm just bad luck. And the music is really sad for what ultimately is not a big deal. It's just some rain.
You can just hang out like literally tomorrow. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what Hannah Brown is there for.
Exactly. She needs a
Really?
purpose.
The next day, we see something I'm always dying to see on these shows, which is someone applying sunscreen, and not to their dick. It's actually Brian applying it to his abs, which are exposed to the sun, so I really support that. Jeremy, meanwhile, is telling Alex that his favorite sex position is missionary with lots of eye contact.
This did make me laugh.
Yeah.
One of
Truly.
the few jokes that I wrote down because I laughed. Kyle, meanwhile, appears to just be like watching everyone. And his vibe here is where I really started to get weirded out. Like, it's just sort of quiet and sinister for no reason. And I think it's just kind of the way that he is. And it's not actually sinister, but
Yes.
he's sitting next to Spencer and Jess, and they're flirting and ignoring him, but he's sitting there as if he's part of the conversation. And then he's like, you guys are so cute. Then we cut to him telling the camera that they're going to get married. He's like, they're going to get married. Book it. Like, he's ordering
You're like,
a
why is
contract.
this a threat?
I was like, why does it sound like he's ordering a contract killing right now?
Totally. There's like a menace behind that little half smile.
Yeah,
Like, oh, no.
Kyle does not have it. Like, for someone
He
who
has
is
something.
that like handsome, it's
I did have to
Yeah.
look up the word cogitate that he used. He's
Oh,
like, they're
yes.
cogitating. I was
I
like,
know.
I'm
I
going to
was
need
like,
to Google
ooh,
that. I don't know
oh,
what cogitate means.
SAT word over
Truly.
here.
That was impressive. But
I feel like it's possible that in person I would really like Kyle, but his thing, there are a lot of signals being given off by his personality and behavior that usually on camera translate to the person who will later murder everyone.
I was gonna say serial killer. Is
I
that what
don't
you're
think
trying
it,
to say?
what I'm saying is I don't think it would come off that way in person, but because the way that personality usually appears in a movie or a TV show is giving those signals very strongly.
definitely.
Serial killer.
Definitely.
Hakeem is most attracted to Bailey, so he's going to be very intentional, and he is going to put all of his eggs in the basket of courting Bailey. And I'm like, maybe you should, instead of going after like the most in-demand woman on the beach, talk to everyone and see, like, maybe someone will surprise you. This is what makes me crazy about like when people who are like capital N, capital G nice guys go on these shows sometimes, and it's hard to see them getting rejected. But I'm also like, you just picked the hottest woman on the beach that a bunch of guys were already going after, and all you did was sort of try to get her attention, and you didn't really pay attention to any of the other women, and that annoys me.
Yeah.
I'm like, get to know people.
He also like writes her a little note,
Yeah, this
and
is
she
tough.
looks so put off.
I didn't really get, he like wrote her the note, but then ran away so he could, like, it just wasn't.
It was like he
So, like-
was being his own courier to deliver the
Truly.
invitation. So he
Yes.
wrote like a formal invitation. On Love Island, when they do this, they'll be like, I got to get my best friend to go deliver
Right,
the
right,
invitation.
right.
I think she still would have made a weird face, to be
I think
honest.
she just doesn't want to hang out with him, and she's like, now I'm in a position where I like basically have to.
And
Yeah.
it gives a little bit of like like the Milady guy from the comedy sketch, where it's like,
Totally.
Milady.
Yes.
Like it's like a little overly formal in a way that can be a little off-putting.
It's off-putting.
Yeah.
And it's just sad because he's like such a sweet guy and like his intentions are very good. And it's hard to watch him like keep taking L's. And the edit is very much playing it up, like showing her reaction shot was definitely to him handing her the notes. Sometimes it seems like they're editing things together to make it seem like women are being ruder to him than they probably even are. And it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So they go chat. The vibe is bad. She kind of bats away all his attempts at banter. And in her in the moment, she says that he's a great guy, but she's just not interested in what he has to offer. Seems reasonable.
Seems.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then Dale arrives on a yacht.
Wow.
And he has like a mission statement for this season, which is man was not meant to be alone on this earth.
Totally. Here's the thing about Dale. He's not funny. Not even a little funny.
He's very sincere.
He's so pretty. He's not funny. He's not meant to do comedy. That's not his calling. His performance is limited to like stationary modeling, and like I understand why.
Yeah, and dick spraying with sunscreen.
Well, he did go for that, I will say.
Yeah.
No, but this is the thing. His intro isn't even really funny. He's just like, I'm very successful now, but I don't have anyone to share it with, and we aren't meant to be alone. We aren't meant to walk this earth by ourselves. I must have a mate.
Him presenting this like grants like a philosophical underpinning to the search for love, as though it's like a revelatory idea that he is the first person to have.
Like, have you ever thought about
career,
this?
And yet we're not meant to, as though it's like
also, guys, I have to say, very strong New York City representation this season.
Is he in New York? Is he in New York?
We've got Dale, we've got Jeremy, we've got Bailey, we've got Zoe. Like,
love.
This is their tropical vacation. They're leaving the subtropical region of New York City for the true tropics. And the comedy of his arrival is really just the really stylized reaction shot of all the women fanning themselves as he arrives. And Kat is like, this is where Kat is like, he's a man. He's a whole man. And she also loves that he's 36 because men over 35 have lower testosterone, so they're a little sleepier.
I loved this. I was like, so true, so real. She's like, I like a sleepy man. I'm like, yeah.
Well,
she love was a like, sleepy man.
She goes, we love a tired man. And I was like, can you imagine any of the men being like, I love a woman over 35. We love a tired woman. Like,
no, because they wouldn't say, I love a sleepy woman. They'd be like, I love like a haggard looking woman who's basically like no longer ripe fruit. Like,
no, they just wouldn't say that. No one guy on the show is ever going to be like, I love a woman over 35.
That's
Get
true.
out of here.
They'd be like, I love a woman under 25. That's what I love.
Before
also,
her
like,
skin gets horrible, like Alex at 28, she needs a retinol.
Also, like, as someone who is with someone who's over 35 and has 2 small children with that person, you could love a man who's a little more alert. You know, there's a lot to do around this house.
Totally.
Yeah, you're like, the sleepiness is all fun and games until.
Yeah. The main argument we have in my home is, why are you taking a nap? It's like, well, I'm over 35. You know, I guess I'm a little sleepier.
I mean, yeah, that's why I need a nap. I too am over 35.
Same, honestly. Where everyone's sleepy in my house, except for the children. Zoe is really psyched to see Dale, so she grabs him first, and they talk about how his love language is acts of service. And men also need to be cared for, although no one ever really talks about that.
No one talks about how men need to be nurtured.
Don't discuss this enough.
We're just like constantly nurturing women, and like, won't someone think of men?
Someone brave enough to mention it.
Yeah. And Zoe agrees. She's like, I really want to be that feminine, nurturing person for my partner. And I was like, it's happening. They're talking about being
like,
in their feminine.
No, I know. That was the closest we got. I was like, it's going there. It's heading there. We're gonna get it full on.
We're not headed in the right direction as a society.
Certainly not.
Alex gets so nervous talking to him that she can't figure out if she loves him or is afraid of how he looms over her with his towering height. And so she ends up having a whole conversation with him about how he's from South Dakota, only to later seem convinced that he is from South Carolina.
She's like, no, South Dakota, no, you're joking. You're joking. And
he just talked about this for like 5 minutes.
He's like, no, it was Dakota.
She was,
I said
that was hard to
Dakota. I was
watch.
like, okay, so this is the end of their romantic connection.
And we're done. Interview over.
Meanwhile, his abs are forming a sweat imprint on his polo, like the Shroud of Turin. They're like evidence of his abs will persist long after he has gone from this earth.
And Kat is like losing her mind.
More guys should do this. They should really do
more
this.
guys should be clothed, but also ripped.
Yeah, I was like, Kat, most guys, if they did this, would not give you a perfect little picture of six-pack abs underneath the shirt. I'm just going to put that out there.
No.
That's not what most guys have under their shirt. Dale gets a date card to take one of the women on a catamaran, and he picks Kat. Zoe sees this and says she very much was scheming for that one. I was like, Zoe, are we going to do an anti-redemption arc? You had a full redemption arc within your season, and now you're like kind of coming off as a little bit like you wanted Dale, and now since Kat got the date, you think she was scheming?
Right, like you were both putting effort in.
It's
and
called
he
being
chose
intentional.
her.
Intentional is the positive framing, scheming, infiltrating.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when men do it, it's intentional, and when women do it, it's scheming.
Exactly.
You get it.
When Kate Middleton does it, it's intentional. When Meghan Markle does it, it's scheming. It's like
exactly.
one of those.
Although when Kate Middleton did it before Meghan Markle existed, it was scheming.
It was also scheming.
And then they were like, oh no, now a black woman did it, and that was scheming. So maybe when a white woman did it, it was just intentional. I don't know. It's so hard to maintain the gender and race hierarchy.
Exactly.
Kat loves being lifted onto the boat while Dale holds her shoes. She's like, I feel like I'm going to be baby girled, like the chivalry. It's amazing.
He's I love a tired, chivalrous man who opens the door for me and then falls asleep on the floor.
Look, we're asking for a meme machine. Kat is it.
Yeah.
Kat is working.
I want him to throw me on the bed and then pass out from fatigue.
Honestly, sometimes that's all you need.
Yes.
Doesn't sound bad.
Especially if you're also a little sleepy.
Totally.
Then we get this excruciating scene of Dale trying to get a shot of him saying "Pura vida" while popping champagne.
Oh my God. I loved that they were like, we will be showing every moment of this. They were like,
I was like, they did him so dirty.
So dirty. Because
editing.
clearly they were like, okay, reshot, no, retake it till you get it. And then they're like, no, one shot, no cutaways. Like, play it all the way through.
He says "Pura vida" like 17 times trying to pop the champagne before he succeeds.
No. Give me an illusion of spontaneity. This also broke the form of the show. It's like, I know they reshoot things, but at least let me think they don't.
Yeah, they use that to get some comedy out of this date because Dale is like not funny at all. But I was like, it really just seems like you are using the way that they make this show against him to make him look stupid.
Exactly.
Then we get a weird dream sequence, which is more like something out of a campy scripted show. It was giving me like sirens. I was like, what is happening?
Truly, I was like, what is going on here? This is where we get the dick sunscreen.
Yeah.
And it starts with Kat in her confessional interview telling the camera, like, when I look into his sea green eyes, I can see our future. I can see him taking off his shirt and getting oiled up, becoming the captain of my ship, and I could be the first mate. And meanwhile, like, a montage of him starts playing over this in a captain's hat, spraying sunscreen under his swimsuit onto his dick, looking like orgasmic, and her voice is like echoing over it.
I was just like, what is happening here? I get that they're trying to do comedy, but it just makes the whole thing feel so fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not landing.
It wasn't landing. It was not landing. I was like, okay, so what I'm now thinking about is the fact that you said, pause on this date. Kat, come over here. We want you to say this. Dale, we're going to need you to do this. Like, I just was seeing all of the labor in my head.
Yes.
It was just a little too far into something from like a scripted show. And then Kat gets seasick. Relatable queen.
Truly.
To me. And he reluctantly changes positions to help her feel better. He really doesn't seem that concerned. And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up on this man. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay, I guess I can sit up if that's what you need.
If only Spencer were there to say, like, hot girls get seasick.
Yeah. I heard
Did
that.
you know?
Hot girls have stomach issues. It's a thing.
Hot girls need Tums too.
That like all that propaganda, all that like hot girls have IBS. It like is propaganda designed specifically to convince Spencer that you're still hot if you have IBS, which is great. It's working,
and it's really working.
It's true. We're still hot, even if we have stomach issues, Spencer. And then she looks at the horizon and feels better, and they make out. And I was like, if I were on this date, nothing would have helped me feel better. I would have been puking my guts out the entire time. That looked horrible. Like the part of the ship they were on is just like leaping up and down.
Very rocky.
And she ends up making out with him, and she rates him on a scale from 1 to wanting to text her ex. And I was like, that scale doesn't make sense.
I know. I didn't quite get that.
She realizes this halfway through and is like, I'm going to rate him a not wanting to text my ex, which is a 10.
She's workshopping that rubric.
Yeah. She's like, I tried to do something, didn't quite work. It's fine. We're going to course correct.
Back at the resort, Alex and Jonathan have started really vibing. They've identified each other as being like the same person. They have some of the same tattoos. They have the same like sense of humor. They're both a little goofy.
They both shave their legs, like
and they really connect on that.
every 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's how often I shave my legs, actually.
Honestly,
so.
same.
He tells the camera that she's a lot like a middle school crush. It's like they have so much fun and it's so giddy and like, you know, goes to your head in that way. And they're like teasing each other and goofing around and laughing a lot. And it's cute. I find them to be like an easy pair to root for, although maybe
I agree.
They might be too similar for it to ultimately work, but they're
for
very
now
cute.
I'm into them. I also liked both of them on their respective seasons. So
yeah. And she says she doesn't date younger at all because she has a thing where she doesn't like to think of a guy being in diapers while she's potty trained. And he's like, you got a lot of things. And she's like, I do.
I'm like, really? You won't date someone who's like 6 months younger than
This
you?
is the wildest justification for women only dating older men that I have ever heard.
Yeah. It's not about the maturity gap. It's just
deranged.
28 years ago, I had just potty trained and you were still getting your diaper changed by your mommy. And that's not manly. I can't.
No.
That's not romantic
Real men
to me.
have never used diapers.
Zoe and Brian talk about how his older sister was his second mom who told him how to dress. And she loves this. This is helping her cope with how Kat got the date with Dale. And I'm like, Zoe, aim higher. Then, as they're all hanging out by the pool, silent workers come in and set up an informational exercise near the cavorting cast.
I feel like they need a new word. Like, were they just trying to stay away from, or I guess this isn't quite a challenge or a game. Informational exercise does not make it seem fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
is this
clear-
a Love Island thing, or is this something they're copying from somewhere else? No.
Yes and no. Like it's certainly
Challenges are Love Island,
but it's the same concept. Like there's no like prize for it there, and it's not like they could have it be a competition, right? Who gets the most hearts and the fewest X's or whatever. It's set up in many ways similar to like a very low key challenge or the kind of exercise they might do on like Too Hot to Handle, which is more like a getting to know. It feels more Too Hot to Handle to me.
It's more Too Hot to Handle because it's more of like almost like group therapy, like learn to appreciate someone without their looks, except that the informational exercise has like zero visual interest, and
that's the issue.
Like, it's a huge issue. Like Love Island,
yeah,
Love Island, everything is like insane. Like there may be no stakes to the challenge, but it is like a visual feast.
Yeah.
This is like a bad corporate retreat.
Exactly. It wasn't designed for the viewer. Like in person, I could do it, but I couldn't actually read anything. The camera wasn't on it long enough.
Yeah, that was part of the problem. There was no point where I felt like we really learned what most of the fun facts were on these different
No.
boards. And then
No.
we're trying to evaluate, like, oh, this person only got X's, but we never really see more than one of their little fun fact quotes. So I don't really understand what was so unappealing about it.
It didn't make any sense. Also, because they were silhouettes, it was pretty easy for everyone to figure out who was who.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all like, oh, this one is
Yes.
Spencer, obviously.
Yeah. The silhouette kind of ruined the guesswork there. Yeah, I didn't love the execution. I also thought it was weird that this people came and silently set it up while they were all there. Like they do challenges on Love Island, they do exercises like this on Too Hot to Handle. It's always kind of waiting set up for them when they arrive at a space.
Yeah, that labor could just have been done already, and they're on a whole resort. Like they don't have another area.
You could have had Hannah Brown come out to be their love concierge, right?
Perfect use of Hannah
Give her a
Brown.
job. My God.
Yeah, but there are a few fun facts that get discussed. Zoe has one quote on her silhouette that says, "I like my men to be under 5'7" or above 6'5". And Brian is like, that's no one in the cast. So I guess that's kind of off-putting. And he puts an X on hers, which makes Zoe really pissed. And she's like, that shows how frail the male ego is. And I'm like, well, I guess probably most of them don't want to hear that you're not interested in dating people who are their height, which is how that is phrased.
I really
Yeah.
didn't understand what she was trying to do. And then she says like, oh, it's just showing that I like don't discriminate based on height. But if you wanted to get that across, you could just say, I don't care.
Short kings, medium kings, tall kings, they're all kings in my eyes.
Exactly.
Is this related to the wanting of athletic children? She only wants like hyper tall for certain sports. Are there certain sports that require being short?
Well, her justifications are completely different. She's like, if they're short and they're like approaching, like, she's like, I'm a thick woman. If you're approaching me and you're short, that shows a lot of confidence. So she's like, that's great. I love confidence. But I also want athletic kids. So I love a tall man. And I'm like, well, what about the media men? You really don't want to date them because they're neither confident nor they're going to give you athletic children? Is that the takeaway here? Because that's the height of every man on the cast, and you don't want to date any of them, apparently. Hakeem's board doesn't even get any reactions except for Zoe's red X. They didn't even make everyone do all of that.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what is the point of this? Aren't you supposed to like react to everyone? No, I guess not. You just get to choose.
Zoe doesn't like his because he wants to normalize men being pampered. And she hates that.
She's like, I'm the woman I nurture, but
I don't pamper.
I don't pamper, and you don't
No.
get to pamper yourself.
No.
I feel like if Dale told her that he wanted to be pampered, she would pamper
She would be
him.
down. Yeah.
No problem.
So Ricky sees the lack of reactions, and for some reason, which I'm assuming stem from his hurt feelings over his own 3 red X's and like 0 hearts, he sees Hakeem's lack of interest and starts just going off about how he'd rather be hated than vanilla. And he points at Hakeem and is like, you're vanilla. And Hakeem is really offended. And this was a situation where I was like, on the one hand, Ricky has some really good feedback for Hakeem. His quotes are very generic. They're like, I love being pampered. Being with me would be like hang out with your best friend all the time. Doesn't really give you much to hang on to. There's not much to like sink your teeth into there. Hakeem, however, didn't want Ricky's feedback, and he certainly didn't need to offer it. So it's hard to be on Ricky's side here.
This really devolves into the most deranged fight. Like at first I was like, oh, are they doing like a little bit? They're like joking, and then it extends. You're like, no, this is very serious. They're now in a full fight.
It's like they wanted to go home. It just felt such an unforced error. I was like, guys.
Right, like people already aren't interested in you, and now you want to have a big fight about how your feelings were hurt by being called vanilla.
At least
like,
have it in private, like at least.
No, this is a real turnoff. It's very unpleasant.
And Ricky does seem very surprised that he wants to have the fight in public, but I'm like, Ricky, you started it in public out of nowhere.
Right.
So I'm not sympathetic. Also, he's doing this thing that I hate when people do this, where they offer an opinion that is reacted to badly. And he's like, well, then don't ask for my opinion, when no one asked for his opinion.
This was unsolicited, sir.
Oh.
Like, sometimes I think that by offering an opinion, people come to believe that it was solicited. And I'm like, no, you just decided. And then he's like, vanilla's not an insult. So Hakeem asked the whole group whether vanilla's an insult.
And everyone's like, I don't want to be a part of this. Please exclude me from
Especially-
this narrative.
Especially Alex, who is like, my partner represents me and the No Drama Llama brand. And now Ricky is Drama Llama. So can he really be an effective brand ambassador for No Drama Llama
Certainly
brand?
not.
No.
Ultimately, Ricky and Zoe both got only no's, and so did Hakeem, but he only got one. Spencer and Jess hearted each other, but they clearly knew that it was each other. And she
low impact challenge.
No.
She also hearted a silhouette that no one recognizes. It has a very square hair shape. And
who could it be?
Jess liked it because he likes the song Tennessee Whiskey and she's from Tennessee, which shows like a deep level of compatibility that I think can't really be challenged.
Yeah, I think we all get it.
And who could this square-headed person be? There's no one here who has a head that square. And it turns out it's Sam M, who pulls up on a motorcycle just as Jessie is like ripping off the blank silhouette cover.
Like, yay.
Yay.
Sam, we needed him back here.
He was a villain and he knows it, but he's here to show people who he is, find love, and keep the main thing the main thing. And say what you will about Sam M, but he did make a meme of sorts.
He did do branding.
Totally.
He did some very effective branding.
Very Trumpian. Like, he can at least make a phrase stick, if nothing else.
I mean, Sam M, his whole vibe is very Trumpian.
Yeah, just come up with a meaningless phrase and use it over and over again until suddenly everyone else is using it and they don't remember why.
Yeah.
He tells Wells that the vintage motorcycle he rode in on was the oldest thing he's ever been on. And Wells says, there's still time. The Goldens are coming.
Wells. Could we not
stick with your socio-political commentary from before? Wells, that was much. Yeah.
This is also when I remembered about the Goldens. I was like, oh my God, the Goldens are coming.
Yeah.
And Sam immediately goes for Jess, the Southern belle. He clearly is thinking she could be the kind of woman who would be like a Southern girl that you hear about in a country song that you have kids with, and she wears like long skirts and you dance together in the kitchen. And so he asks her on his date, which of course they all come in with a date card. And Spencer is immediately stressed because, again, he doesn't want to be hurt again. But he's comforted by the sound of thunder that might ruin the date. Unfortunately, it's an indoors date because they're going to have some sort of cultural ceremony that will reveal their deeper compatibility.
Of course.
Naturally. A purification and rebirth ritual, which involves stripping, doing a sponge bath, and sharing their fears. And just like the standard Bachelor
like
cultural ceremony.
It might be crazy. It might be crazy, but my fear is heartbreak. It's getting hurt.
Exactly. On the revelatory level of we're not meant to be alone. Like,
yeah. These
As
people
though it's-
really just have lots of new and original insights on love.
It's like, I feel like you guys have talked about this whenever people like, the thing about me is family is really important to me.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about the unique thing to me specifically is I care about my family.
And then they're like, wow, he also really cares about
You?
family. And it's really hard to find that. So I think I should marry him because we both really care about family.
No, you've got to get really specific. Like, I love the sound of music and you love the sound of music.
Only one
see
of us
what's
needs to know
happening.
how to fix a door, but we both need to love our family.
Exactly.
I also really enjoy thinking about what I would say if I were on one of these dates. Like, what's your deepest fear? And I would be like, I don't know, probably tripping and falling onto the subway tracks as the train is approaching. What about you? Oh, heartbreak?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably the
Sure.
gradual creep of authoritarianism in this country. And
Yeah. When will someone bring up fascism?
Yeah. Yeah. My greatest fear is the Gestapo.
Yeah.
But they seem to be vibing pretty well. Sam is like, Jess could be my dream girl, someone that he could just like dance in the kitchen with and watch the rain fall with. He really seems to envision love as like scenes from a Taylor Swift song playing out in real life.
Yeah. Or like The Notebook.
Yeah. Or like any country song, I guess.
I was just like, wow, Sam doesn't want to be in love with a person. He wants to be in love with an idea of a woman.
Yeah. I get it. I also want to be in love with someone I could dance in the kitchen with.
Totally.
But in real life, people are always taking naps because they're just a little sleepy.
Yeah, I was like, wow, hasn't happened for me yet. Not a lot of dancing in the kitchen.
No.
In the refrigerator light. Spencer is panicking. We get this like horror movie-esque montage of Spencer's worries about the date intercut with clips of Sam and Jess dancing and kissing. And Sam is wearing a cowboy hat because that's just the kind of guy he is.
I was like, oh, they made him put on this cowboy hat to shoot this fucking montage. Like, guys, stop showing your work.
Ugh.
It's almost like, to represent Spencer must be worrying about this hot cowboy stealing his girl. So you have to look like a fantasy cowboy.
Yeah.
They're doing too much. Yeah. Meanwhile, Jeremy and Bailey are really starting to vibe. I was like, okay, I loved this. I love it. Yeah. I see it for these two. Also, I'm like, they both live in New York City. They could legitimately date each other. Like this is making sense to me. We see them walking on the beach and they end up making out a few times. And Bailey feels the sparks. But she is also keeping her options open. And her other option is Kyle. So,
yeah. This is when he's like, I'm very pleased that she's really cogitating on this decision, which is a good,
I was like, pause.
It's a good word of the day, but I was like, it's not quite the way, it's not like wrong, but I was like, contextually, it's
she's
kind
really
of an
cogitating.
She's really cogitating on this decision. As he's noticed, they are very different people, which is true. But like, you can be drawn to two different kinds of people. I think with Jeremy, it's sort of like the Alex and Jonathan thing, where it's like they're very similar and there is an attraction to that. But are they too similar? Does she need someone who's more going to be the chill, laid back one who lets her kind of be the big personality in the relationship? Like Kyle, who will never be the big personality in a relationship.
Because he barely has one.
Unfortunately for Kyle, Jeremy and Bailey are back at the resort and they are hardcore making out again, right in his eye line. But he's like, America is on my side.
Don't speak for America, Kyle. No. Like, are we? Are we?
Where are you getting that data? What poll are you referencing?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems he's speaking it into existence, but that's the wrong way to go about it. Because as soon as you're like, everyone supports me, that really makes people think that maybe they don't support you.
Yeah, not great.
Ricky is worried, meanwhile, that his unhinged argument with Hakeem might have ruined his chances with Alex, because Alex has another option in Jonathan. And he's really stressed out. He's like, I can't believe I'm already in a love triangle with Jonathan out of all people. He's like, perfect. And then there's me, someone who started yelling at Hakeem that he was vanilla and started a big fight in front of all the women.
What happened to intentionality, Ricky?
Yeah, I know. It seemed very intentional.
Was that an intentional choice? However, Alex still seems interested, and I think she is looking at Ricky as someone who is presenting a lot of the qualities that she is looking for. They're more different, but he's her physical type. He makes out with her. It's very good. She's really into it, and she's
also
like,
putting in the effort. She's like, oh, he's interested in me. He's letting me know.
He might be that secure, intentional base for her to shine, much like Kyle and Bailey. Zoe has really zeroed in on Brian by this point in the episode. She's like, he's attractive, tall, and fit, and that's all you need. If you need a car, he'll just take one from Jeremy.
We're going to breed Olympians together. It's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was he an athlete? I don't remember anything about him except how annoying I found him. He's just... They end up cuddling on some beach towels and making out. And the next day, the iguanas are out and Justin is juggling mangoes. It's also rose ceremony day. And I appreciated that we saw at least a tiny bit of something happen before the actual cocktail hour, because it always feels like the rose ceremony days they just keep everyone apart, right? It just feels like wasted time.
Yeah, I don't think that they were fully separating them. At least it didn't look like. It looked like they were all mingling.
At least Justin and Lexi get their date with the help of Hannah Brown.
Yeah.
The essential help of Hannah Brown.
How hard is it to just have their same date happen the next night? Or for narrative purposes, do they need to be like, now you don't get a date unless Hannah Brown helps you have a
I
picnic?
think they just wanted to drag it out a little bit. And then they were like, let's just go for a daytime date.
Do you notice the necklace Lexi was wearing on this date was like this giant starfish? That
I did. I Googled it.
It was giving like when Ursula takes human form and wears Ariel's voice around her neck in Little Mermaid. Like, there was just something.
No, I literally Googled it
me.
because I was like, it's on such a large like piece of rope and it's a large starfish. I'm pretty sure it's this necklace from Etika. Because I literally Googled like large starfish on rope necklace.
It felt like it was holding some magical like there was something behind it.
Will we be seeing this necklace on future tapings, Emma?
I don't think it's for me, but I just was curious.
The women were bringing their most like ocean inspired jewelry. I think Bailey the first night was wearing huge starfish earrings.
Oh yeah, they were very much like, this is resort wear season.
Yeah. And so they have a really good date, although the ghost of Susie past is hovering over them.
She's just there.
They should have just had her appear. Like that's the kind of thing they would do, is just have a ghostly vision of Susie. Justin tells Lexi they were best friends for a year and then dated for a year, and it was a very real and serious relationship. They still have love and admiration for each other. But apparently he told her they're not really in contact anymore. And she's worried about that because it's happened to her in the past that a guy had recently broken up with someone, and the fact that they were still in touch became a problem. It made her feel like she wasn't chosen, like that person was always still on her partner's mind. And so she's like nervous that that's going to end up being an issue. And also, should we forget, she did speak to Susie once on the phone. And so girl code.
Famously.
And then she also says that they broke up in February or March. And like publicly, I think we were told that they broke up like last August.
But then wasn't there that weird haziness where they were like hanging out again?
Right. I'm just saying, I don't think we ever got like a clear second breakup date.
No. Yeah. At
they
one
never
point,
really
Lexi
spoke
says
about
like,
it.
I'm not really sure, like fact check. I'm like, yeah, I would like a fact check too. Justin, can you shed some light?
Yeah.
When did you break up? Are you even broken up? I'm confused.
Right. Why the hesitation to clarify? She's like, please just be honest with me about where you're at. And he says that his intentions are pure and he will absolutely do that.
Yeah, I'm sure things will go really smooly for them when Susie shows up in like 7 hours.
They can't. Exactly. They also can't continue like this because it's boring. I'm sorry. Like,
no, you got to get
Lexi.
Throw Susie in the mix.
I like Lexi, but I do feel like she needs a lot of humor from her partner because she has a tendency, from what we've seen, to kind of suck all the humor out of a situation. Like every conversation we see between them is very serious.
This is why Lexi was actually built for The Bachelor and not really for Paradise.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. During the cocktail hour that night, some of the men are really scrambling because 4 men are going home. Spencer wants to get Jess's rose, and she's just had this amazing date with Sam M, where he wore a cowboy hat and they shared their deepest fears. Kyle really wants Bailey's rose, but Jeremy is so sure about Bailey's rose now that he's, during the cocktail hour, confiding in Hannah Brown that he doesn't want to pigeonhole himself going forward by being totally committed to Bailey. He wants to explore their options.
Jeremy, you're not supposed to say this until the rose has been secured. What are you doing?
I was like, this is a bad look, my friend.
Yeah, very bad look, unnecessary.
Yeah, I can see him flaming out later. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I was like, it's not even wrong. Like, of course, it's very early, and you don't want to make someone believe that you're totally committed and then pull back and upset them. But like, to sit there and be like, I'm pretty confident about the rose, but once I have it, I'm gonna be looking elsewhere.
Right? It's just like the kind of thing you don't need to say. Like, they're all aware it's been 3 days.
Right. Meanwhile, Kyle is telling Bailey that he brought his wedding ring. Did you catch this?
I missed this.
He says that he brought his wedding ring.
I think he meant like
An
he
engagement
brought.
ring.
I took it as like he brought like a family heirloom with which to like propose or something, which is also weird and intense. Like, calm down, Kyle.
And if so, that is not what he said. Like, he
No,
said
it's
he
not.
brought his wedding ring, which would typically mean the ring that you are going to wear to get married.
Or a ring from a previous marriage he's yet to disclose. Like,
Right. It was just a very, but
Yeah,
Bailey's
or
like,
maybe-
yeah, absolutely. So I don't know.
I don't know. I think at this point she's like, Kyle, you're a weirdo. I'm obviously not giving you my rose. So
Hakeem is really scrambling for any rose since he has come to realize that his intentionally focusing on Bailey's strategy did not pay dividends. And this is really rough. It's edited as like an agonizing montage of Hakeem sort of
This is
going in the
upsetting.
hallway to hype himself up and emit like frustrated groans and be like, why am I so emotional right now? Come on, you can do this. And then going back out and directing really intense streams of compliments and questions at women who seem, probably in part due to editing, to be uninterested to the point of not even acknowledging him.
it's so rough.
it's rough.
Like, it definitely feels like they are, through editing, making them seem less responsive than they are
Yeah.
in order to, in a comedically elevated way, capture the fact that no one is going for what he is doing. But it's like hard to watch.
It's so hard to watch. Everything about Hakeem just makes me like I have a real hard time with like secondhand embarrassment. And this was
Yeah.
just
You feel for
I didn't
him.
like
Yeah.
it.
He's telling these women, like, he's sitting next to them one after another, being like, you know what, you're a baddie, you're hot, you have good hair, you're admirable, I admire you so much, you're crushing it, you're successful, boss bitch status, you know? What's your love language? What's your ideal first date? What was it like for you growing up? And again, editing,
Yeah.
but like, you see the limits of like, just like what some men might consider to be like, well, I'm being nice to women. Like, I'm complimenting them, I'm being supportive, and it's not working for me. And it just ends up feeling like you're just sending a stream of generic compliments because you think that's what women need to hear. And it's not
Right.
necessarily like connecting with them or seeing them. It can be a little alienating. Like, it reminds me of whenever I would meet a guy growing up who was like really convinced he was like the nicest guy and would be the best boyfriend, but he didn't really care which woman or girl it was. He was like, any girl would be great. They're all hot and they have boobs, and I'd love to be a boyfriend.
Also, at this point, like, what's your love language is like not even a good question. Like, there's too much
To be fair,
conversation.
Everyone is asking this.
Oh, I'm aware. This is not just a Hakeem issue, but I'm like, guys, ask something else.
No, it's just hard. I think that he will find the right person for him, but this show is just a competition to look hot and be good at flirting, and some of us are not good at that. And it almost like made me think too much about what it would be like to be on this show myself and how hard it would be to like try and
it would be brutal.
Get nothing.
Nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also right where he tells one of the women they're subjectively gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like,
You are
so subjectively
gorgeous.
gorgeous. It's like, I think you meant
Honey.
objectively, but sure. In a way,
Honestly,
everyone is subjectively gorgeous.
He kind of falls over his words in this like sweet way. Other times he was like, can I be frankly honest with you? I was like, you don't need the qualifier of frankly, my guy. Honest does the
No.
work. Like,
he's just doing so much, and none of it is like the right stuff, unfortunately. And
No.
I do love the subjectively gorgeous thing because beauty is subjective, and subjectively to him, these women are all gorgeous and have great hair and they have boss bitch status, and he really admires that. He tells Lexi he admires her independence, and she says maybe she's too independent, and poor Hakeem is like, I don't think there's any such thing as too independent, which I agree with. And Brian says, I think you need a balance. And Lexi
Brian.
agrees
Shut
with
up,
Brian.
Brian.
I was like, shut up,
fuck
Brian.
all the way off.
Go
Brian.
away, Brian.
Ew.
Oh, poor Hakeem. That's like the last we really see of him. Meanwhile, Alex is torn between Ricky and Jonathan. And it seems like she's leaning toward Ricky because he is really intentionally pursuing her. And Jonathan is casting hints that he's interested. They've been chatting, but he's not really going out of his way to pursue her. So she sits Jonathan down clearly, almost to tell him why she's not picking him.
For a
is the
performance
vibe.
review. Yeah.
She's like, listen, it's been great, but like there are some differences between you and other people. Like, for example, that you're just not really putting in any effort with me or with anyone. And that's fine. But like, maybe it's not really for me. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I can definitely be more, effortful. I can do more. I didn't realize, like, I'm definitely really interested in you. And like, I want to put in more effort and get to know you. And she's like, oh shit. Okay. Now I like them the same again. This was not what I was trying to do. And the thing is that like she clearly like is more comfortable with Jonathan and feels more of like a natural like
chemistry
rapport and chemistry. And so if there's also going to be hot making out and intentional courtship, then
great.
Then we're in.
So this brings us to the rose ceremony. Of course, there are 6 women, 10 men. That means 4 men will be going home. And they make a very big point of like they keep reminding us that like the women have the power this week, because traditionally on Paradise, and I think something that people have been frustrated with is that usually they start with the men having the roses, and everyone's like, come on.
I don't even
give it to the gals.
I don't even remember that because it's
really
been so long since Paradise.
I do. It was part of the discourse. So they gave it to the ladies this time. Lexi gives her rose to Justin. Zoe gives hers to Brian because she can see them building an empire together.
What kind of empire could you imagine Brian building?
A cologne empire?
A cologne empire, yes.
A Bitcoin empire.
Yes. He's deep into crypto for sure.
A hair gel empire.
Yeah.
A Manosphere podcast empire.
Yes.
No. We have too many of those already, Shaina.
An empire of very tall children. He's like Elon Musk. He's like, I'm literally just going to people the world by having 12 to 15 tall children.
Spread
tall
my
boys.
seed full of athletes.
Gold medalist bobsledders.
Jess gives her rose to Spencer. And after she gives him the rose, they kiss. And everyone immediately gets very inappropriate.
This is a
kind of
breach
enjoyed
in
this.
the royal protocol. You don't kiss, you hug lightly. You don't kiss publicly at this stage. A breach.
Yeah. And everyone immediately is like, oh, I see we're doing sex shows now.
Zoe's like, do it again. And then one of the guys, I couldn't identify who it was, off camera is like, oh, pants look a little tighter than normal. And Jesse just deadpans, this is a family show.
Yeah, well, they could have taken that out in the edit. So who's a family show now? This is practically Love Island. Like, why don't they just put on their thong bikinis, and gyrate on each other? Bailey
remember that gratuitous, speaking of Bailey, shot the slow-mo of her butt earlier in the episode?
Oh, yeah. No, they're definitely working in a little more softcore sex appeal.
Yeah.
Bailey gives her rose to Jeremy, and then we see Kyle in the moment saying, I wish them the best, I really do, in a way where, again, if this were a scripted show, you'd expect him to show up outside their home in 3 years, just like silently outside the window.
Yeah. He's just polishing a knife as he says that. Not look good.
Sorry to Kyle. I'm sure you're not actually a serial killer.
Yeah, I want to be very clear. We don't actually think Kyle is a serial killer. Don't.
Nice
just the vibes. Just the vibes of one, okay?
Just the vibes.
Sorry.
Just the aura. Just the aura.
Just the aura. Yeah, strong aura of serial killer.
What's the astrological sign of serial killers? Scorpio?
All the Scorpios are coming for you.
I'm sorry. I literally know.
Now.
I know nothing about astrological signs except that Geminis are flirtatious.
Flirtatious serial killers.
Yeah.
Serial killers. Well, I'm a Gemini.
So I think we all know what that means.
I rest my case.
Alex gives her rose to Jonathan. And this means that Kyle, Ricky, Hakeem, and Sam are all going home. Ricky's like telling the camera that he's pissed and he's not going to be anyone's second choice. And he says, Jonathan, good luck, buddy. Okay,
Ew.
man.
Okay.
Take it down a notch.
I thought this was a real, like, I understand being upset, but to me, this was sort of like a True Colors moment. I'm like, you're laying it on
think you're
thick.
entitled.
Yeah. Now you have like a bad things to say or imply. about Alex because she didn't pick you. Like, you're angry. She didn't owe you that.
I am glad she picked Jonathan personally.
Same.
Honestly, not really a surprise in the bunch, and all the choices that I preferred.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I was like, yep, these 4 should probably be the ones going home.
Yeah.
So I'm good with it.
Yeah, I approve.
And I don't remember when this happened, but obviously Kat gives her rose to Dale because he was the only person that
actually he was off camera asleep because it was after 5 p.m.
He's 36.
So that's why you missed it.
He's just a little too sleepy for this.
It was such a foregone conclusion that I literally forgot to put in the notes. Sorry to everyone. Sorry to Kat and Dale.
And then Kyle, his last words on the show, ominous to the end. He's like, I'm glad I came on the show. If you take a risk, you might learn something about yourself. It's fucking cool. It's fucking cool. Cool. It's so why is that such an ominous thing to say? I don't know. It sent a chill down my spine.
Kyle, you're not doing anything to clear yourself of the charges of serial killer vibes.
That quote is going to be the cold open on the true crime series that Netflix makes about his murder spree.
There's something about it that's just like he's thinking about something that we don't know. You know, there's like secret knowledge behind those words.
He's cogitating.
He's cogitating. So that brings us to the end of the episode, and we get what I think is actually a pretty promising season preview. It seems like there's going to be a lot more going on in future episodes than we got during this episode. We see Jesse say in voiceover, or we hear him say in voiceover, this is an all-new Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah, no kidding.
We see some arrivals. Parisa and Allie Joe from Grant season arrive. We also see that there are going to be more challenges, and it seems like they're going to get a lot more sexy and make out forward. So some real
show.
Yeah, more Love Island style stuff. We also watch the Goldens arrive on a boat. We see Leslie, Gary, Keith, Faith, Kathy, April, Captain Kim, a real motley crew, and they are ready to party. Like 36-year-olds are ready to take a nap. 66-year-olds are ready to fucking take shots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're ready to make out.
Got a second wind.
Faith is like, I might become the hoe of the show. And I was like, I hope you do.
I truly hope you do.
Sample your options.
We also, sigh, seems like there will be at least one cross-generational makeout. And I am...
That's it. I'm out.
Just concerned with how they're going to frame that. Dear God, I hope it's the only one. Leslie and Gary are going to go on the first golden date. Susie, of course, arrives, and we get a Susie, Jeremy, Bailey love triangle that seems like it's going to be dramatic, and a Parisa, Brian, and Zoe love triangle. And I personally am incensed that Brian gets to be at the tip of any love triangle. It's just rude. It's offensive to all women.
This man should have nothing to do with the tip of a love triangle.
Sean and Alicia arrive. Alicia? I forget how you pronounce her name. Sean and Alicia also arrive. They seem to couple up, and they accuse Kat of being there for the wrong reasons and of being an Emmy award-winning actor.
And Dale seems to be defending Kat.
Yes.
So it seems like they're going to continue to be involved. Many tears. Keith wants everyone to look in the mirror and say, I am the prize. We're all the prize, and we're all fighting to win other prizes that will also be the prize too, and that's dating. There's also clearly going to be a cash prize component this season.
Very curious.
Yep. Again, bachelor pad, baby. And Jesse says they will have to choose between love and $500,000. And looking at this crew, I was like, take the money.
Take the money and run.
Run. Take that half a milli. Like, come on.
Like, you'd have to be thinking, like, is the benefit to my image from choosing love going to earn me
more than $500,000, or what is it after taxes? Like $300K. Like, can I out earn?
Can I out earn that through couples sponsorships?
Exactly.
So, Shaina, how are you feeling about the upcoming season after watching this?
I'm intrigued. I mean, I think the most ominous thing for me in the series preview, which you kind of alluded to, was whoever says like, "Up, the old ones are making out with the youngins," and that's my biggest fear.
Yeah,
I'm just
Shayna
like a
was
little
texting
afraid
me
of
about
that. I was
this
like,
previous to watching the episode.
so I'm also, yeah, I'm excited to see how that plays out. And scared.
Yeah. Maybe it's Leslie making out with Dale, honestly.
Yes. Older women, younger man, here for. The reverse, not. Can't deny it.
Imagine
I think
Captain
it's going to be
Kim and Kat just like enjoying a mimosa.
It's absolutely going to be an older woman, younger man. I feel like very confident about that.
Okay, good. That's all I
Okay,
can
fingers
stomach.
crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Shaina, thank you so much for joining us. Where can the people find you and your work?
Oh my God, thank you. This was such a joy. I love your pod. I'm such a fan. And the theater girlies love you guys. We all have like a text
Aw,
thread.
we love you.
Every week when your pod comes out, we're talking about it. So I'm honored. I hope I did my text thread proud. Hi, guys. Anyway, where can you find me? I don't spend a ton of time on social media, but I am on Instagram at Shaina Taub. And yeah.
You can go see Suffs.
Yeah, go see
Suffs.
Suffs.
Totally.
It's so good.
Thanks, guys.
So good, and has some of my favorite theater merch of all time.
They did.
It is
They did a
great
nice
merch.
job on the merch. Thank you.
Well, this was super fun. I hope that you can come back sometime in the
Would
future.
love.
And
Yes.
thank you so much.
On that note, let's get into love to see it, hate to see it. Let's start with hate to see it, get the bad stuff out of the way.
Oh, what did I hate to see this episode? I mean, there was so much new to take in. I really did hate to see the strong Netflixification of the show. It just feels like another drop in the bucket, like another case of a piece of entertainment content joining like the sort of visual and aesthetic slurry of the Netflix house style. And it's not even a Netflix show. I miss some of the more original stylistic quirks and atmospheric quirks that the show used to have. Like, does it have to be so much like a Netflix show? Do we have to play Turn It Up over the ending credits?
At least get new music. My God, please. Truly, please get new music. I also hated to see making some really very unskilled actor cast members do sketches. These people can't do comedy. A few of them can. Most of them can't. So I think you need to really pick your comedy like targets carefully.
Yeah, you got to get a lot of mileage out of the naturally funny, experienced at making short form video content members of the cast.
Right.
You got to turn to them for comic relief, and not everyone can do that in their intro package.
No, we all have our strengths, and that's just simply not it for some of us.
And that was the advantage of like the really silly, cheesy, almost paradise intros, is that you don't have to be good at doing comedy for it to be funny that you're doing this extremely awkward, silly thing like catching a coconut on the sand.
Exactly.
We also hated to see a 3-hour premiere followed by a double episode week. We are exhausted. Don't you know we've been watching Love Island? Of course you know. That's why you did this whole reboot to begin with. We're tired.
Also, here's the thing about Love Island. A lot of episodes, but they're an hour. Sometimes they go a little longer, and that's annoying. But like two hours, 3 hours? 3 hours is way too many hours. I start to dissociate at 3 hours. Like, keep it, tight. Keep it tight.
We don't have the mental rigor for this.
We certainly don't.
But at least we can own that.
Also, hated to see just like the most budget, lackluster, informational exercise of all time. Give us some sexiness. Give us some visual interest. I have faith that they're going to get better as the season goes on, but like this one was not it.
Yeah, I did hate that. And I hated to see the shaky camera work. It makes me nauseous.
Oh my God, it made me so I felt like I had vertigo.
I have a weak stomach. We know this. I would have been puking on Dale. I can't handle shaky camera. But there were some things that we love to see. So let's talk about love to see it. We love to see some experimentation. It's good to take risks. It's good to try to update the show. They don't always pay off. I do miss the crustaceans. I do miss like some of the old BIP spirit. but it did need something. It needed something to change. And so they're trying to change everything very quickly, very much in every direction. And at least that is effort. It's intentionality.
They are doing intentionality. We also love to see that they are adding some challenges and activities beyond just like laying around on a daybed. That's great. Changing up the structure. It's fun.
We love to see that Jesse Palmer is getting into the skits. He can pull it off, man.
He can do it. Make Jesse do all the sketches.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. He's skilled.
And we love to see air conditioning.
I mean, especially for the Goltons who are coming, I love to see air conditioning. I also loved to see the season preview, which did make me feel like better might be coming this season.
Yeah. This also might be controversial, but I kind of loved that this episode was a little more of a chill pace. I know that it sometimes, and we were texting with Tatiana about it, like, is it so slow? Is nothing happening? Is it hard to pay attention? I kind of feel like Paradise has always suffered from a lack of filler. It's breakneck. Yeah. I feel like maybe because I have to take extensive notes, I'm just like, cut me some fucking slack. I'm going to lose my mind. Every conversation needs to be documented because so much is constantly happening, and we're cutting back and forth between so many storylines. There's a lot of open space in this episode, which kind of has pros for me as well as cons. It's a little easier to take in.
No, I actually agree. I just think that we could have that pace and also not do a 3-hour premiere. Like, I would have been fine even if some of this content was in the next episode.
I think a lot of that was in like the intro packages.
Yeah, I do. I'm very curious to see what the pace feels like as we move further along. I also will say that like the cast in general seems a bit smaller than past seasons, and maybe that will end up being a good thing.
Yeah, like I do think that the cast being so big makes it impossible to keep up with the storylines. So before we wrap up, we're going to rate the episodes this season on OG Bachelor in Paradise vibes out of 10 iguanas, because that is the wildlife of choice this season. And I feel like the fact that they are giving us a lot of iguana mentions and shots is them trying to hold on to some of that original BIP atmosphere, BIP branding.
It is. We got that. We got that little play of almost paradise at the beginning.
So I want us to look at each episode and think, how much does this carry forward the spirit of what we loved about the original BIP? You know, like back at the beginning when it was like such a fun, refreshing summer show.
This particular episode, very low OGBIP quotient for me.
Yeah. I think for me it's like a 3.
I think I'm going to give it a 2 iguanas. Yeah. It just felt like such a stark departure. And maybe part of that is just that I need to get used to the new visuals. It wasn't totally devoid of connection to the original, but I think if you were not a person who was like super keyed into the franchise, you could watch this and have no idea that it had anything to do with The Bachelor.
Yeah, it's very different and like maybe not yet bringing us that like really fun,
goofy
escape.
Yeah. So we shall see as we move on. I am hopeful that this new team can get it together, and I am really, really excited that the show is back and we get to chat about it.
Me too. Honestly, this was extremely fun. I love having BIP back in my life, even if it looks completely different, almost unrecognizable. I still love it. And quite a season we have ahead of us. So on that note, that's it for this episode of Love to See It with Emma and Claire. Thanks to our guest, Shaina Taub.
Love to See It is a presentation of Odyssey. The show is produced by us, Claire Fallon and Emma Gray. This episode was edited by John Bahar. Our theme music is by Tamar Haviv, and our art is by Aaron Nestor.
If you like the show, please follow the show, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review. And of course, tell all your friends about our show. Maybe go to Hannah Brown, have a little sit down and ask her how she thinks you could effectively tell your friends about our show. I think she'd have some great ideas.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at claireandemmapod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on TikTok at Love to See It Pod and Instagram at Claire and Emma Pod. You can find our newsletter, Rich Text, on Substack at claireandemma.substack.com. We've been covering the ultimatum queer love and having so much fun.
I'm also on Blue Sky at Emma Gray and on Instagram at EmmaLadyRose.
And I'm at Claire E. Fallon. Special thanks to the team at Odyssey: Eric Donnelly, Aaron Constantino, Kate Rose, Moira Curran, Melissa Wester, Carly Snyder, and Hillary Schiff.
We'll be back Thursday with our weekly Love Island recap.